to our class for today. If you've not subscribed to our channel at Class Online School, please do. If you've subscribed, share our content so that others will benefit from it. And if you have questions based on things you've watched in our channel, please give us your feedback below the comment section. We'll give you feedback. In our class today, we are going to talk about the explanation of representative democracy. Civic education. Civics education is the subject we are having right now. And we are going to take a number of subheadings under this main heading. What are these things we are going to take under this heading? We are going to try to explain what democracy is. Representative democracy. What does it mean? Characteristics of representative democracy. What are the characteristics of representative democracy? And then finally we will talk about the advantages and disadvantages of representative democracy. Sometimes we hear the words that democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Why do they say democracy is a government for the people, by the people? Because democracy has to do with the masses having a voice. The masses having a voice in governance. They choose to pick who they want to. That is to say, the person going there to rule or to be elected into position will be an individual whom the masses support and say, go for us and represent us. So democracy, representative democracy, has to do with an individual being elected and supported by the masses to go represent them and protect their common interests. That is democracy. And I will further say that it is this kind of government is founded on the principle of electing people to represent the masses. Unlike in autocratic kind of government, autocracy don't allow this because the people just take it as a right and position themselves there. In democratic rule, it is not like that. It is not like the military kind of rule, where a military will just take over power from another military. It is not like that in representative democracy. The masses come together, choose those who they want to represent them, and then put them into power. So democracy has to do with the masses picking their choice and putting these people into ruling position to represent them and protect their interests. Having explained what democracy is, we go to the characteristics of democracy. What are the characteristics of democracy? One, the masses elect this individual. They don't just go to power just on their own. No. They are elected. They are voted into power. So the masses have the sole right to vote them into power. That is one characteristics. And the masses give them the mandate that go for us. The judgment you give is what we support. So they are being backed by the masses that have set them to represent them. For example, today in Nigeria practice a form of democracy because they elect those whom they want to go protect their interests, to go rule. And these people take decision on behalf of those who they represent in different constituencies. So that is one of the characteristics. They are being voted by the masses. They are voted by the masses. Voted by the masses. So the masses send them into power. Another characteristics is that individual liberties are not restricted in representative democracy. One that does in this kind of democracy, their power is not restricted. They have full power to act. They don't have restriction in carrying out their duties. That is another advantage. They have full power. Full power to act. As far as the masses are backing them up, they did not revolt against their decision. They have the full power to act because the masses have breathed power into them. That's another characteristics of representative democracy. They are usually elected. It's by free and fair kind of election. They are elected free and fair. Elected. They are elected free and fair. What do I mean by they are elected free and fair? They don't just go there. The masses say go and they support them. They voted them. They won and they are in power. So they are elected free and fair. They didn't just put themselves in that kind of position. They belong to a party. The masses support this party. They have voted for them. They have won and they are there. So they serve as a voice of the masses. So they are elected free and fair. Then another thing is that a number of representatives are elected. Not just one individual. A number of persons are elected. A number of persons are elected in a representative democracy, not just one person. You find out that in a constituency, you have representatives representing different constituency, not just one person going there to act, but different person represent their constituency. And this individual, this number of representatives are elected by and responsible to a particular subset of the total electorate called their constituency. So each of the constituency are managed by those who are sent there. These are the characteristics of representative democracy. They are voted by the masses. They have full power to act on behalf of the masses since they have been breathed with power to go ahead and carry out their function. The masses support them. Then the election is a kind of free and fair kind of election. They didn't go there just to cut corners, but the masses were the ones who voted them in. So it was free and fair. Then number 4, a number of persons represent their constituency. So each constituency is represented by an individual. So we have constituency representatives. These are the characteristics. So now we are moving forward to the third on our bullet point, advantages and disadvantages of representative democracy. So having discussed the characteristics of representative democracy, let's go to the advantages and disadvantages. What are the advantages of representative democracy? For a diverse country, it is good. So for example, a country like Nigeria, representative democracy, it's very good because it's a diverse nation that have different ethnic groups and different cultural groups. So each individuals are represented in representative democracy. So it represents both the minority ethnic groups or minority groups. That's one advantage of representative democracy. Then secondly, it's a form of free and fair way of electing people into power. The masses elect, the masses make their choice, and they send these people into governance. So by the time the masses select, these are the individuals they sponsor into power. So it is a choice by the people, not just a kind of authoritative or autocratic way of assuming power. No. That is the second advantage that representative democracy have. Representative democracy serves as a check and balance. What do I mean by a check and balance? What I mean by check and balance is individuals are voted into power and voted out. When they cease to perform, they are voted out. When they perform very well, they are retained in power. So, because you know that you are checked, and because you know you can be voted out if you don't represent well, individuals tend to perform very well. So it serves as a check and balance. In non-representation, they are voted out. In well-representation, they are retained and they continue supporting and representing those whom they are governing. That is another reason or another advantage of a representative democracy. Another one is that it is the best guarantor for individual liberty. The best guarantor. The masses have a voice. Here, freedom of speech, it's advocated because you can suggest, you can make your opinion known to those who are representing you. Your voice can be carried to those who are at the top or helm of affairs, and such decision can be put into place. So you have a choice, and your voice or the masses' voice are heard through this means. It ensures political participation of citizens, because citizens have the right to vote people into power. People who are voting age and willing to vote are allowed to vote and put those whom they wish into power. So the masses actually have a voice. Minority interests are protected because each of these ethnic groups are represented. Each of the constituency are represented. So there is no minority group that is left behind. Everybody is carried along, whether minority or majority. So everybody have a right in this instance. So these are some of the advantages. Having seen the advantages, let us roll to the disadvantage. Number one, those who are voted into power might not perform as much as those who voted them into power might want them to perform. You see people in governance representing the citizenry. You find out that instead of protecting their interests, they seem to enrich themselves through dubious means. They embezzle public funds and enrich themselves instead of serving the interests of the general public. That is one disadvantage. Then another disadvantage, they will say it's a free and fair election. Sometimes elections are manipulated by those who are at the helm of affairs. So most times elections are manipulated by those at the top. That's another disadvantage. Then another disadvantage of such democratic representation is sometimes where they say the minority have a voice, the minority might not be well represented because of those who might be representing them. That is another disadvantage. And even when the masses are given the mandate to have a free and fair election or have freedom of speech to air their view, sometimes their view are not taken into consideration. All of these are the disadvantage of representative democracy. So having seen our class today, we have seen what democracy is all about. Governance that the people support. They put these people into position to help them oversee what is happening in governance and to help them take their voice up to those who are the helm of affairs. The characteristics, we see some of the characteristics of representative democracy, then the advantage and the disadvantage. It was a pleasure being with you today on Class Online School. Continue to drop by to see other classes that we have. And if you've not seen our series on our counseling corner, do well to visit and check out those contents. They might be of help to you as a student or as a guardian or as a parent. Share our videos, share our content. Let your friends know that we have such wonderful content. Give us a comment below the comment box. We will give you feedback. Ask your question if you have any question. Thank you for dropping by. If you want to see our website, visit us at classonlineschool.com. Thank you very much. Until our next class, I will see you when we discuss other pressing issues as it relates to civic